Hi everyone, Nikki here. We are on the road to Virginia, where we're going to spend the night, the northern part of Virginia. We left my cousin Tony's house in Pennsylvania earlier today. We had a really good time yesterday overall. And this post is going to be a little bit off topic from Family Adventure, but I was kind of encouraged to talk about it because it's a real issue. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. So for many years, since about 2010, I was diagnosed with panic disorder and PTSD. And so, I've been really excited about this trip and I know that it's going to be fun. But I'll tell you what, yesterday we were in the middle of this hike, seeing these amazing waterfalls, and suddenly it just hit me. I felt completely paralyzed. My heart was racing. I thought I was going to throw up. I thought I needed to use the bathroom. And I literally thought for a minute that I might even just pass out and wake up somewhere in the hospital, that I was so sick that I didn't know what I was going to do. And I have to say, this was a big learning lesson for me too, because I'm really thankful for my cousin, both of my cousins, Tony and John, because they really walked me through it and helped me through it. Did it make it go away super fast? No. Did it suck? To be honest, yeah, it did. I thought the whole ride home from the hike, oh my God, what did I do? I gotta go home. I can't be here. I can't do this. I'm not fit for this. And my cousins just really kind of helped me revisit some of my coping skills and thoughts and disordered thinking. And I like to listen to this author. She's a Buddhist monk. Her name is Pema Chodron. And I had to go back and re-listen to her message in her book, The Places That Scare Us. And I wanted to kind of share a little bit of that. And so if there's anybody else out there that suffers with panic attacks or any type of anxiety, feel free to definitely reach out to me. I always find it interesting because I'm a licensed clinician, and here I am. I can help everybody else, but when it comes to my own panic attacks, in the middle of it all, I freeze up. I become completely paralyzed. So I took some notes here, and I just kind of wanted to share that in our culture, our Western culture, it's about distract and redirect, I feel like, a lot of times. What can you do to distract yourself from the anxiety? And Pema says exactly the opposite. Stop distracting yourself from it. That's why it comes back so often, and I had forgotten about that when I was at the waterfall. That as Americans, as Europeans, as typically Western culture that many of us are, it shouldn't be about trying to escape. We don't want to be uncomfortable. Maybe that's a survival trait. I don't know. But when do we ever just sit and feel the fear? When do we ever just sit and say to yourself, I feel the cortisol literally running through my body right now, and it doesn't feel good, and I'm scared, and I have thoughts coming in my head that I can't control, and they just won't go away. I just want to curl up in a ball. And instead, Pema gives this really good kind of illustration. I'm probably not going to say it exactly the way she does, but she talks a little bit about how we'll sit in a hot room, and when it gets to a certain temperature where our bodies are not in this perfect homeostasis, we think we have to turn the fan on. And she was saying, essentially, to practice sitting in hotness that's uncomfortable. We try to get out of discomfort so much and so quickly that we cannot be a little bit uncomfortable. We just can't. And for people who have anxiety and panic, that just makes things worse. That just makes the fear worse. And what I'm trying to do is, he's watching Shrek. What I'm trying to do is to remember that fear and trembling, it causes growth and strength. Escaping, running away, it deteriorates you. It slows you down. It sets you back. It might feel good for a minute, but what we're doing is we are using negative reinforcement by taking something away that's scary, that reinforces. That's the only thing that will take that anxiety away and that panic away. And I know in the moment I feel anyways like that's it, this is just how you're going to feel for the rest of your life, so you might as well get home so you can feel better, forgetting and using the evidence that I have in my life and in my past that it goes away at some point. Usually I have a good night's sleep, I wake up great the next day, but I took an Ativan yesterday, and so I am attributing my crappy wake up this morning and panic attack as soon as I sat up in bed to that, because sometimes I have that effect. So for the rest of the day, I did put an Ativan in my running belt just in case I needed it, but in my mind, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take an Ativan today. So I really just kind of wanted to share that, because this trip is a family trip, but this was a trip that me and my husband spoke about from the beginning that is going to be a huge step outside of my comfort zone. Just a few years ago, I didn't know if I could graduate college because my anxiety was so bad. So I've got to say a Harry Potter thing before I go. I think of Harry Potter a lot because I identify with him so much, and not because I'm a hero, but because I try to be a warrior. And I think about how hard it was for him to practice occlumency. Okay, I totally nerded out right now. And how it takes every ounce of your energy, every ounce of everything you have to try to focus on not letting people into your thoughts, or in my case, or people with anxiety's case, not letting those thoughts that just contribute to the anxiety get in your head. And what happens? Here I am on vacation trying to have fun, and I am working so hard every second of the day to not freak out and have a panic attack. I'm exhausted. And I just thought about that, and I'm trying to think of ways that that could give me strength instead of kind of bring me down. But I want to let other people that might have these feelings like me know that you're not the only one. I have to tell myself that. I'm saying that selfishly too, because I need to know that I'm not the only one either. And the other thing is that when we become addicted to escaping, which is I am addicted to escaping the situation to feel better. Sometimes we turn to food, sometimes we turn to shopping. I know people who sometimes turn to substances, and we just have to figure out together how we can stop escaping and how we can start facing our fears. And remember, each time you leave that building, each time you leave that appointment early, you're succumbing to the fear, and you don't have to. So we just need to figure out how to do this together, because I truly believe that each time we try to escape, we just become more entwined in the entrapments of panic and fear. And I know that I don't want that, and I'm sure people who suffer through this like I do don't want that either. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to be kind to myself and acknowledge when I don't make the best choice for my anxiety and for my panic, and I'm going to move from there. So that being said, this was not much about our trip, but I felt like this was a really huge part of our trip. I'm not going to pretend it's not. That's what I have for you today. Meanwhile, we are going to an incredible RV campground, and I promise, also I'm setting up my blog, so I will be posting pictures and doing things like that too, so you can see all the really cool places. And if you're traveling too and you want to know more about it, hit me up. I'd be happy to share that info with you. And that's all I have for now. I'll talk to you soon.